Welcome, everybody. Here is today's agenda. We strive to get through all the key points about eligibility and how to apply and what's available as quickly as possible so we can open up the floor and get to point 8 as quickly as we can. Also today we have a range of presenters. And on the screen, I'd like you to meet our key speakers. They are both from CoSTAR National Lab and our fantastic partners at the MusicFuture team in Liverpool. In the interest of time, I'm not going to run through a detailed introduction of everyone's biographies, but there's a wealth of experience across the two teams who are excited to work with you on this project. In that regard, this funding call is born out of some extensive academic and industry research from the talented members of our world-building team, and their profiles are also on screen. I really encourage you to look up the CoSTAR National Lab team and our MusicFuture partners on the websites or LinkedIn and get to know the expertise that you would have access to if you were successful. There's so much we want to share with you, so thank you again for joining this session, and I will now hand over to Will Saunders.
Thanks very much, Kylie. So I'm going to give you a little rundown on what we're working with here and how we've kind of structured the call, but I want to give you a tiny bit of background as well. So CoSTAR is an infrastructure program. It's part of UKRI's investment into creative industries research and development. We're a network of labs established across the UK. We are the national lab. We're the largest part of the network, but we have partner labs in Yorkshire dedicated to touring, a partnership between Production Park and the University of York. We've got a lab in Dundee dedicated to real-time technologies, strong relationship with the game sector. Screen Lab in Belfast, specialise in film and TV, largest virtual production facility in Europe. And we've got a Foresight lab in London, partnered with Goldsmiths University. And we are the CoSTAR network, and we exist to help further creative industries R&D and the growth of creative technology and creative companies across the UK. A lot of our work is done via what we describe as industry access programs, and that's what this is. That's what you've rocked up for. This is one of our first piloting calls. Our industry access programs are made up of two key components: an enterprise and commercialization program, which is run by a colleague of mine, and we also have grants and awards the enterprise and commercialization team runs. So if you're not aware of their work, please look it up on the website. And the prototyping and piloting capability, which I and a colleague sit over, supports innovation in creative technologies and creative content IP. And again, that's, I think, why you're here today. The PPP program, we use a shorthand for it. It exists to encourage R&D activity and investment between the creative sector and collaboration between academia. As you saw on the previous slides, we have a lot of different research colleagues from our university and partner universities and Liverpool University who are dedicating time to this project. So if you are successful, there's a very strong chance you'll be able to work with some of our colleagues on this program. And we also exist to give companies and organizations access to some of the leading facilities and technology support that we're now building and making available. And the other thing that is important to recognize is what we do is open to companies across the UK. Now I'm going to hand over and ask Richard to give a little bit of background on the MusicFuture project.
Yes, thank you very much, Bill and the CoSTAR team for partnering up with us on this. This is a fantastic opportunity. I'm representing and greeting everyone in chat on behalf of MusicFuture in Liverpool. MusicFuture is what is known as a UKRI HRC Creative Cluster Program. We've just received the award. It's a 5-year program that is led by the University of Liverpool in partnership with LJMU, Liverpool John Moores University, about 23 regional partners, as well as some national partners, including UK Music Live and the UK IPO. It's really quite an extraordinary program for us and very exciting for the Liverpool City region. Our aim is to bring academics and the creative industry partners obviously together into an R&D-led innovation and business development program that is dedicated and focuses on the Liverpool City region. We're operating from a hub in the ACC Arena and Convention Center in Liverpool. You probably have seen Eurovision. That's the location where it was broadcasted from. We will seek a strong and foster collaboration between a variety of partners and gaining sector insights and hoping to open up pathways for artists as well as future music professionals. MusicFuture's principal aim, and this is probably why you're in the right place here today, is that we'd like to empower SMEs and entrepreneurs to innovate and to attract, obviously, investment into the sector to potentially scale up their business, but also to adopt sustainable and inclusive practices within the music sector. The focus, of course, lies on future-proofing the Liverpool City region music ecosystem, but also, and that's why we are so pleased to be a partner in this project, to act as a regional testbed for national new ideas and innovation. So ultimately, MusicFutures will hopefully both elevate the regions as well as the UK's competitiveness in the global music market. And with this, I'd like to hand over to, I believe it's Will again.
Thank you very much, Richard. I'm just trying to... Oh, sorry. I've got some issues with my settings here. I'm trying to find my slides. Hold on one second. Bronnie, if you're there, can you just put the slides up? I'm not seeing anything at the moment. Sorry.
Thanks. We're going to stop sharing and resharing.
Thanks. Apologies. If you can just take a control and put the slide deck up where it was as Richard finished, that would be brilliant. Thank you so much.
Feel free, everyone, to, if you think of a question or a thought as we go along, feel free to put them in the
okay
into the chat, into the Q&A.
Are my slides visible now to everybody? Yeah. Okay. So let me talk about what we're funding. For those of you that are familiar and have applied for R&D grants before, this will look and feel very similar to other forms of R&D grant funding you may have applied for. If you're new to this, then I think it's really, really important that you take on board what we're saying today and go away and read all of the documentation that we've made available to download. As we said at the top of the call, this is based on research that our team, the world building team, had done. So please go away and read this. And what we're looking to fund is innovation for grassroots music venues. And we're talking specifically about the need for whatever comes out the back end to be a shared live experience, to support a shared live experience. We're really interested in the portability, the scalability. We're looking at venues that may have a minimum of 50, but may scale massively beyond that. And also, if you think about what may happen online, significantly beyond that. We're asking that whilst this is a technology innovation project, we really want to see in applications at least one grassroots venue and one artist. And we're expecting to see letters of support that back that up when you do apply. And as Richard said, one of the key things of collaborating with the MusicFutures team is we want to see a project that is anchored in the Liverpool City region. And that means the company that apply must be from the Liverpool City region, and at least one of the partners, either the venue or the artist, must be based in the Liverpool City region. What are we making available? Well, there's cash funding of up to £40,000 to cover eligible costs. There's lots of detail as to what those eligible costs include, but for those of you that are on the call, it does include use of freelancers, use of support. It will obviously need to cover things like venue hire. It will need to cover things like artist fees. It'll obviously need to cover things like any licenses or permits required to establish the event. On top of that cash pot, we're obviously making available access to technical facilities that we have at the CoSTAR National Lab Future Studio in Egham, and Peter will talk about what we're making available shortly. It also covers access to our operational teams and our researcher support. And again, we'll talk about that in a bit more detail. And the same goes for the facilities and the research support available in Liverpool via MusicFuture. And in addition, if you qualify, we also make travel stipends available to cover things like transport and accommodation. So let me hand on to Peter, who will now give us a little bit of more detail on the facilities and the research expertise we're going to make available for the call.
Thanks, Will. So we have, as Will said already, a virtual production studio. I've just captured some details here, but it's basically a 4-meter high virtual production wall, including wild walls. We've got a DMX lighting setup. Controlling all of this is Disguise, Designer and Render Stream. So anyone familiar with the Sphere in Las Vegas, this is the control systems that run that. So it has quite a lot of relevance, and this is the exact same package available in a smaller scale. And we'll be using Unreal workflows in there and other game engines if you're interested in that side of things. There's also a large format Arri Alexa camera package if anyone's interested in sort of image capture as well. Importantly, though, there's a next generation audio system, which is the details are all there, and we've got a much more detailed scope available in the pack for you. But there's basically 27 channel Genelec speakers, which are arranged in an ambisonic dome, which can be lowered from the ceiling. So you're getting a very unique sound profile. The way that this is set up, we can also clone a venue in an audio way. So not only can we clone them visually, we can also clone the audio, the reverb and the actual spaces that you're working in. For those interested, connectivity there is pretty straightforward. That's all via Janet. We've listed these as other, but we have LiDAR scanners, VR, AR headsets, although we're not expecting activations in this space to be headset based. But there's also quite a bit of flat space, desk space and rehearsal capabilities as well around the campus in Egham. Just struggling to go to the next slide there. Just bear with me 1 second. So in terms of the people we have available, so we have researchers across a very broad spectrum, from postdoctoral people through to professorial team, some of which you can see on the call today. But areas not limited to, but Gen AI, of course. We have an audience team here, but used to polling audiences and working with audiences, and they're very, very keen to be involved before, during, and after any activation that takes place around this. World building, of course, and most of the world building team are on this call at the moment. User experience. We also have a very versatile team of creative technologists, circa about 4, but there's also other people we can bring to deployment on this. We've got script writing expertise, real-time visualization, VFX, multisensory perception, and we've also got a very, very strong business modeling team who can really look at the models that are proposed within your activations around this and help in that respect. So I'm handing to our colleagues at Liverpool now.
Hi, yeah, I'm not going to go into quite so much detail, but we've basically got a motion capture set up at LIPA, and we've got the Media Lab at LJMU, which is a real kind of general purpose, which has lots of sort of depth and biosensing and controllers and interfaces, 360s kind of capture. Yeah, lots of tools there, and basically the team here has also got a strong root in the creative industry. So there's a lot of practitioners here to help, and that's kind of really all I've got to say about that. Thank you.
Okay, so let's move on to eligibility. So it's important to understand a lot of these R&D grants are predicated on demonstrating company growth. That's what we have been invested into to deliver. So one of the key kind of eligibility criteria is that the lead applicant must be an enterprise or legal entity registered and trading in the UK. That also means when it comes to if you're a freelancer, if you're a sole trader, it's very difficult for you to lead an application. Doesn't mean you can't be included. It just means it's unlikely you're going to be able to lead this application. One of the other eligibility criteria is we're asking that we have a grassroots venue included and a live performing artist included as part of this application. And it's important we see letters of support from both of those that support the application. We want to understand that all necessary licenses and clearances to establish a performance, be that physical, be that virtual, are secured or are in the process of being secured. Whoever the lead applicant is must be from or evidence their ability to support the screen and or performance sectors. They must have an operations and project team based in the UK. And you can work with subcontractors, but we're asking that not more than 75% of project costs are attributed to subcontractors. Subcontractors can be from anywhere in the UK. And for the MusicFuture award, the lead applicant must be a Liverpool City region-based company, and it must work with either a Liverpool City region-based grassroots music venue or a Liverpool City region-based performer. So all of these eligibility criteria are on the website. The other thing that I think you will want to know a bit more about are the assessment criteria. So again, they're all on the website, but just bear in mind that this is a R&D call. So we're looking to understand things like how well is the problem that your innovation is seeking to address, how well is that defined? It's obviously worth looking at the research that we have given you a little executive summary of on the website. It's important that the proposed solution is clear and achievable. So you are succinctly describing not just the problem, but the way in which you're looking to solve it. The specific R&D focus and innovation is novel and well articulated. It's really important you understand that what we're looking for is to understand your R&D focus and your area of innovation. It's also important we understand that the proposed solution has commercial value. So we need to understand how this is commercially viable, how this might go on to be commercialized. We need to understand that the project team can deliver, and we'd like to understand the credentials of the project team, the range of skills, the different experiences people are bringing to this project. And via those letters of support, we really want to understand that you have a grassroots venue and an artist on board, and you're putting in place all the necessary frameworks around licensing and rights management. We don't want to get into production and you not have those agreements in place. So those are some of the assessment criteria. The other thing we'll want is a project management plan. We're not going to ask for line by line detail and budget and risk register, but we want to understand you've put all those things in place and you can evidence to a certain extent your project management plan. We'll need to understand the request for infrastructure, specifically how are you going to work with what we're making available. That includes the technical infrastructure, that includes our researchers. How can you make best use of the resource we're making available? And we also want to understand that the project is of value to the sector we're looking to innovate within. And then last, but by no means least, we're asking that there's a strong approach to engaging with social impact. we ask a question specifically around EDI and environmental sustainability, and we want to understand your willingness to engage and the degree to which you've already, to some extent, gone on a journey. We will support, we put in place courses once companies are working with us, but we want to understand a bit about your own thinking and awareness of that. Before I ask Kylie to take us through the nuts and bolts on how to apply, I just want to kind of go back to the beginning with this and go, the reason we're doing this and the reason we're really excited about this is that we think grassroots music is one of the most important ecosystems for the future of the live music economy in the UK. And we really want to understand how technology innovation might support grassroots music and might do something that will help to address some of the problems that sector is experiencing. And we're really interested in understanding what happens when you put some amazingly talented and brilliant companies together with some amazing spaces and performers and us sitting in the middle of it. We genuinely think this is a really interesting opportunity, but we can't lose sight of the fact that what we're funding is research and development, right? We would love to come up with something that could scale, that could really go on to fly and help resolve some of the problems in this sector. But we can't lose sight of the fact we are an R&D funder. So a lot of what you're going to have to do is win this by explaining to us why this is a brilliant R&D application. So Kylie, please now take people through how they can apply.
Thanks. So when you get through the website and you've had a look at the full call briefs, you will need to sign up to Submittable, our application platform, to apply. But all the information, there's no extra information in Submittable. So all the information you will need is in the online and in the call brief. There are 11 questions and each have a 500-word limit. That's a relatively large limit, to be honest. We really don't want you to spend days and days on your application. So it doesn't mean a long answer is a good answer. And you can't upload anything except your letters of support from your partner organizations or artist and venue. So we will, for example, ask for schedule and budget, but it's just an overview, a high level overview at this stage. We're trying to balance the information we need with the number of questions and how long it takes you to apply. We do offer reasonable adjustments on request, and I will put a link to where you can source some further information about support in that regard on the chat in a moment. And we can't provide sort of individual feedback. Is this a good idea? Is this a suitable idea on ideas? Because that would be unfair to others if we're spending individual meetings with people. But we are happy to answer any general questions, and I've put the CoSTAR pilot's email in the chat for you to ask some of the questions that you're asking today or others as you go along. So please do reach out and we'll do our best to help you along the way. We want to keep this as simple process as we can, because just making partnerships and putting in applications we know is a stressful process. So I'm just going to check what the next slide is. Just here, wanted to quickly cover the timeline. You'll have 6 weeks to apply, and we'll close the call in August. At the end of August, we do know that this crosses across summer, so try to get prepared early and let us know any issues very early on if you can. And the assessment process is really across 8 weeks. We do independent assessment with external assessors, internal assessment. We really want to give each of you've put a long time into your application. We also put a long time into making sure that we've read all and assessed and covered all your applications in as much detail as possible. So we'll hope to inform you within 8 weeks of the submission deadline, but this is subject to the volume of applications and resources, but that will be our goal. And then the program will run across November, December, companies coming into our lab and testing in live venues in January. So we really want to keep to this schedule because January, our venues have told us that lots of interested venues, and there's a map on the website of where the interested venues are. And from that map on the website, you can also hit an email and we will give you contact details of those venues. So find out which ones are local to you if you don't have a venue in mind, and then we can give you the details for you to reach out to them. We do have their details, but it's not published publicly, but we can email them to you if you're interested in contacting them. But the venues have said that January is a bit more of a downtime than obviously the Christmas period. So that's when we expect you to be working in the venues. I think that's all from me. I'm handing over to everybody now. We've got lots of questions, Will, and I am going to stop sharing for a moment. We will go back to key links and how to contact CoSTAR and all the other key links at the end of this presentation before we wrap up. But let's stop sharing now and start to hit some of the questions. So we're going back to the Q&A, and we'll try to work backwards. Lots and lots of questions, everyone. Also be lovely if you feel comfortable, if you could all turn on if whoever's comfortable, turn on their screens now so that we can see you. It's just, we feel like we're presenting down the screen to nobody, but we hope you're all there. And we did have a question in the chat about the requirements for the Liverpool region. The person who asked that, would you be willing to turn your camera on and ask your question? Let me ask that. Oh, yes, great, thank you.
I think it was me. To be honest with you, I think that the question was answered. So just to clarify, there's 3 awards. And one of the 3 awards has to come from the Liverpool region, and the lead applicant needs to come from the Liverpool region. But there's still 2 other awards available for any partner, for any lead applicant and partners across the UK.
That's exactly right. And I'll let Richard answer. I see you've got your hand up there, Richard, to clarify a few points. But great question, Robin. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Robin, for asking it again. Yes, I think we answered, but just to say again that we are 100% aligned. It's not that we're running a separate Liverpool competition. We have the same objectives, we have the same requirements, and it is a fully joined up call. The only real difference is what Will already carefully explained, that for one of the 3 awards, we would expect that the lead technology company would come from the Liverpool City region, and one of the partners, either the venue or the artist, would also be coming from the Liverpool City region. That's all. It's absolutely the same otherwise. I think that's a related question.
Yes.
Kylie, do you would like to highlight that? Or I can
yes.
do it?
I think, why don't you go straight on to that question, Richard? You can see it in the chat.
Yes, there's one question, and it would be very nice if the person, we would see who that is, but it says here, I'm keen to understand how this call fits within the broader MusicFuture's project plan. Did I read that
Richard,
correctly?
That was me.
Okay, good. Yes, it relates to the Liverpool, to MusicFuture's project plan, by the sheer fact that the MusicFuture is all about R&D innovation. It's an innovation and business support program. And obviously this call lies at the heart of this. This will essentially allow businesses and artists and venues to come together and to work on a piece of innovation. And as such, it 100% aligns with our objectives. I think that's probably all I have to say about it. As you know, that MusicFuture has a much broader portfolio. There's also skills development in other areas. But one of the core principles is that we, as MusicFutures, would want to allow you to become innovators, and we provide the support to do that.
Brilliant, thank you.
Richard, while you're there, because we may as well stick on just getting the clarification about the Liverpool region thing. There is also a question, which I'm going to move over to the Q&A, but about currently the list of interested venues, and only one being from the Liverpool region. Do you want to speak to that question as well? I'm just popping it in the Q&A as well, but it's in the chat at the moment.
Yeah.
And it may be whoever's question. Did you want to clarify your question, or are you here? No, go ahead, Richard, if you could see that one in the chat, in the Q&A,
Yeah.
right at the top.
Yes, I mean, the map, I believe, is a live map, so it's updated. It's something that is growing. I think it's not necessarily limited to those venues at the moment. That's probably something I'd like to clarify or seek clarification from Will. I think if the technology company or the partnership comes forward and suggests a venue that's not on the map, I believe a proposition could be made. Could you verify that?
Yeah, the map's a guide, it's not a Bible. We anticipated that our natural constituency and a lot of our work is reaching creative technology companies. That's what we do very quickly and quite easily. We're not used to working with music venues, and therefore we worked with the Music Venue Trust to say, how would you like us to try and operate this? Because we didn't want to drown them in a bunch of inquiries. They're a relatively small charity. So they said, look, we'll reach out to our membership and we will find people who are interested in participating. So we went, great. In which case we'll publish a list of, or we'll put together a list of interested venues. But it's a guide. Any music venue across the UK could be included if an applicant would like to work with one. The only kind of characteristics we define grassroots venue in the same way the Music Venue Trust does. So even if you're not working with one venue we've put on the map, it's fine, but just make sure it does define in the same way that the Music Venue Trust describes grassroots music venue. That's all.
Yes. Thank you, Will. I think there was one more question in relation to the boundaries about Liverpool. I think in the call guidance, we included a map outlining the 6 boroughs of the Liverpool Combined Authorities, including Sefton, St Helens, Knowsley, Deverell and Halton. It's quite straightforward, really. But, you know, in the guidance, it will be outlined again.
Great, thank you. Will, I'm jumping around with questions because they're relevant to the conversation, but Mitali, are you there? Would you mind asking your question about the venue?
Well, I think that you are answered.
Oh, we can't hear you so well. I'm happy to ask it if you're okay with that. I think Mitali might have said that we might have answered it, but how are you defining a grassroots venue? Do they have to be an MVT member? And
no, they don't have to be an MVT member, but they do have to align to the way in which the MVT have described what grassroots venues are.
Great, thanks. All right, we're going back to another question from the chat about what defines an artist. Are you there, whoever asked this question in the chat? Are you able to? It's a really good question. Are you able to? There we go. Thank you. Is that you, Mitali, too?
Yeah, it was me. I'm sorry you can't hear me so
well. That's great. Mitali was saying how do we define artists as well as venues? Does a DJ count, for example?
Yes, a DJ would count. I think we're trying not to be too prescriptive when it comes to that. I think that the desire was to try and understand could we support emerging artists, and could we like this is we're aiming this at grassroots, right? But I would be quite agnostic about this. I think the only thing that I would ask is you probably need to evidence some form of demonstrable creative practice and a track record of performing or presenting. So I think it would just be like, when you're thinking about it, of course it could be a DJ. I think the thing would possibly be to go, look, this is the artist's real estate, like this is their digital hinterland, this is who we're working with. I think we should be as broad as we can be in the approach to form, and potentially in the idea of where they are in their career path, but don't lose sight of the criteria for the call, right? Portability, scalability, the ability to reach audiences, and those audiences will have a certain minimum physical cutoff, which I think we think is around 50, but then the aim is to drive much, much further beyond that, right? The whole point of this is to try and work out how we can support and grow this sector, which means we need people who can support and grow this sector, and the evidence of their ability to grow and support the sector might be something you want to think about when you put the application together.
Great. There's another question here, Will, about defining, well, we're defining things, and it's really good to get clarity on these points. Who's asking about what is meant with screen and performance sectors. Can you ask, this was also in the chat, so just waiting to get the full question to see who, if that person's okay to ask their own question, but if you prefer not, I can ask it for you. Anyone there?
Okay, if it helps, that's simply a legacy of how CoSTAR was established, because the creative industries has different sectors and subsectors within it, and the priority areas for CoSTAR were defined as screen and performance. That just means, like, in this area, all you've got to evidence is the ability for what you're doing to support performance, right? Screen and or performance. It's quite broad. It's only a way of going, if you were from marketing or advertising, which is technically part of the sector to some extent, it would just be evidencing we're not from screen and performance, but we're demonstrating this is how we can help this call, and this call is all about support for grassroots music venues. So by its very nature, it's about performance. So don't worry too much, I'd say, about that. It's just a byproduct of the way in which CoSTAR has been structured and what CoSTAR is supposed to support.
And the follow-up to that is, does this mean it needs to have a video component, or audio only is possible? So that sort of reference to screen is not in that context, really, is it?
It's not a prescriptive guidance around what you need to include as part of this idea. I would be interested, obviously, I don't know if, Peter, you got any thoughts? It'd be interesting to understand, and other people's thoughts on, like, audio only. I would go, yeah, it's interesting. It sort of goes against the prevailing wind of innovation when it comes to what's happening in scale, but you can't preclude it. You can't go, you must have video. We're not saying that at all. I don't know if anyone else has got opinions on that.
If I may, it's Peter here. Hi, everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just listing what we have in terms of the facility. You may choose the visual side of things is not of interest. I'd urge people to think about the pre, during, and after kind of ecosystem that we describe in the research documentation, and think about how you can activate those different audiences and constituent parts of audiences, where screen lens may come into it, but we're agnostic to a technology stack, but there are those technologies available. And we're talking about screen from, we've got a big volume stage, we've also got wild walls, but that activation could happen on a venue with an LED screen or something, or something that you could bring into the mix there. So the answer to that is we're not fixated on any one piece of technology. This is very much about a stack of technologies that could include or may not include. It's up to you how you approach this.
And Richard, you've got a comment as well. Oh, sorry, we can't hear you, Richard.
We are tech agnostic, but where we're not agnostic about is that it's about the experience. So if you can demonstrate that the exclusion of any visual element gives you an outstanding novel experience that generates new IP and is going to be commercially extremely viable, then go for it. But I think I'd like to just remind everyone that we're doing this because we believe within the music sector, and particularly with grassroots venues, what we would like to stimulate with this program is new kinds of experiences that the audiences would really enjoy, and that could be conducted in grassroots venues.
Thank you. And Rob, are you there? Would you mind asking your question? It's a good question about business stages.
Yeah, sure. It was just kind of using startup terms, whether there are specific stages that you're looking at, whether it is that kind of early stage, MVP, pre-revenue, if there's any kind of parameters, or again, whether you're agnostic.
I would say agnosticism is the order of the day here. You could be recently established as long as you can evidence what you think will be the growth trajectory. It's fine. I think we are looking for ambitious ideas. We are looking for, and I'm going to come back to this, this is research and development. It's something that evidences the ability to do something innovatively that may be quite risky. And that's why we're putting the funding and the resource in place that we are. Richard, do you want to add anything to that? Or Alistair, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say, like, for us, the idea is the biggest thing. I mean, they've got some parameters around that, but we're really looking for exciting, interesting, and novel ideas.
I think innovation comes with risk taking sometimes, and the whole idea of running a program like MusicFuture is to take risk out of the innovation a little bit and to ease in that. So I think we'd really like you to see pushing the boundaries and give you the possibility to develop and test things that you probably normally wouldn't want to do on your own.
Great.
Thank you. And we've got another question in the chat. Can we include more than one venue or artist in the application?
I would say yes, you can, but please be mindful of the cash value of what is being made available. I would expect to see venue hire costs and performance costs for every venue and artist you choose to bring in. When you look at the value of what is being made available, it's pretty decent, but it's not going to stretch infinitely. So be mindful of how much evidence you think you need to demonstrate the proof of concept or the pilot. So if you do want to work with more than one artist or more than one venue, it's absolutely fine. But just be mindful of the costs to you and your project of doing that. And it's fine if you want to. I'm not sure it gives you the competitive advantage you think it might. And I would rather see projects funded and costed and applicants and people in a consortia being paid reasonably for the time and effort they're putting in than people being under-resourced because they're all saying, well, if we do this at a lower budget rate, we'll get more if we win, sort of thing. I don't think it gives you a huge competitive advantage, but if you want to do it for very good reasons, of course you can do it. Richard, Alistair, is there anything on your side that you would like to add to that?
Will, there was only one other thing I wanted to add, which is that you are allowed to make multiple applications. You may have one artist and venue that is a particular type of project you want to do and are capable of delivering, and a completely different artist and venue. And in that case, I would suggest you do two separate applications. So that is allowed. It's different to what the question and what Will was referring to, but just to separate those issues.
And I think I would add, which is kind of basically just follows on from Will's point, is that we want these things to be realistic, and there's a temptation, especially on with projects that have got a lot of passion around them, for people just to want to throw the kitchen sink at them. And it's, you know, you know, that's not going to potentially go down great if we see like everything being tried. So just try and focus on the core idea. There might be some benefit in the idea that it lives across multiple venues, and there is that is intrinsic to the idea, but that's the only thing I would sort of add to that.
Fabulous. We've got a question here about researchers. Would working with researchers outside of CoSTAR researchers, or perhaps in addition to them, be seen as a positive or a negative?
I don't think I would say it's not either, right? If it's part of what you want to do, it's part of what you want to do, and include it in your application. But please be mindful, if you're doing this, that you know for a fact that research specialist isn't something we can fill, because whatever you put into that application, I presume that research will come at a cost in your budget, right? So you need to show to us, I think, that that's not a resource CoSTAR or MusicFutures will be able to make available from the resource in kind that it's offering. So that's the only thing I would make sure you know when you put it in, that resource isn't already available. Richard,
Robin,
is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think you said the right thing. I think that's it.
And Robin, you had your hand up. Was it related to this question?
That was my question. I just wanted to ask and follow up to what you've mentioned, and forgive me if I've missed this. Do you have a full list of the researchers available within CoSTAR and what they specialize in to kind of ensure that we don't cross-pollinate?
I would suggest when we get to, and some of the questions in this Q&A are getting quite specific. So I don't know, Kylie, what I would propose is, if people think they've got follow-ups on this, probably use our email, and I suspect we might need a bit of time to come back to you and go, here's the exact details of people that we have, here are the exact specialisms, here are, like, that might be a good way to follow up on some of the specifics in some of the Q&A, and we'll kind of get through as many questions as we can, but by all means contact us after this as well if you've got other follow-ups. Kylie, is that okay with you?
Yep, that's absolutely fine.
If I may just
go ahead,
just
Richard.
one thing, yeah, it's just that for all the applicants, you should know that we selected the researchers from MusicFutures and CoSTAR very carefully to this call. So you can take for granted that the people that are supporting this program and call will have a good degree of experience of leading similar kind of projects, and probably have excellent links to the region and to sector partners. So just keep this in mind. We are here really to support you, and that's it.
I think there's some really fabulous questions coming in to expand on who can apply and how it all works. So another question in the chat is, how can venues apply if they need letters of support from venues and don't know of tech companies? So the artist partner, venue partner way is easy, but how can we find out tech companies to partner with?
I think that was one of the things we've been wrestling with as well. Our expectation would be that the way the call is structured, it sort of leans towards people who are or have some degree of literacy within an R&D landscape. And it may well be that if venues are going to say, and again, we've got this email address, please contact us. If you find yourself in a landscape where you're going, we'd really like to be included within this, and we're certain we've got an amazing resource we could make available. We've got amazing artists that we're playing, inside this timescale. I would go, I think the thing to do might be just to contact us if you find yourself in an environment where you haven't got, or you're not able to find a company you'd like to work with. So at the moment, we still have enough runway to be able to see if we get a bunch of inquiries, maybe there's something we can do that will help with that. At the moment, we're expecting, to a certain extent, the way in which we've established these webinars, and there'll be another webinar in like two weeks' time, where we're hoping that still gives us runway to help address some of that if venues haven't found companies they'd like to work with on these applications. Again, Alistair, Richard, Peter, if anyone else would like to build on top of that or add to that, please do so.
Well, I mean, I just think we need to reiterate the point that like both like CoSTAR specifically and us, we have a lot of connections with the creative technology. We have quite a strong network between us. So we would be quite good at matchmaking, I think, if in that scenario. So that's all.
Fabulous. Great answer. Alex, would you mind asking your question? It's a great question. And lovely to see you.
Hey, Kylie. Sorry, I'm just balancing childcare, so I'll keep my camera off. But
No
I've
problem
realised
at
that
all.
maybe a better way of phrasing the question might be, so I was asking about maybe you could argue there's a gap between the kind of that screen conversation and the hardware that's available in the venues. So are we thinking of something that's designed to complement live performance? Is it something more about helping venues leverage the spaces that they've got, perhaps when they're not already being used? Or something else entirely, or all of the above, but maybe that's better phrased as just, and maybe this is in the research report, which I'm looking forward to reading, but are there some specific challenges that are really top of mind when it comes to helping the venues and areas for us to focus on?
Alex, you've cut to something incredibly prescient, right? Which is the significant mismatch between what CoSTAR and MusicFuture have and are available to execute around when it comes to advanced production and software and technology, and the reality of grassroots music venues that sometimes don't have enough staff, let alone a good enough sound mixer sometimes to run what they're doing, right? We're making available some amazing advanced production capabilities. We know that there is a massive mismatch in all of this. I would argue the driver should be what will work inside that venue, what will help that venue, what will really make a difference. It might be that our people are going to be the most valuable resource. It might be that our advanced production capabilities are quite helpful to some extent in terms of R&D capability, but when you get into a venue, I think the whole project needs to be engineered in such a way that you know that that's the end point and you're driving towards what is going to work for that space, what is going to be portable, scalable, what solution might go on to be commercially viable. Our infrastructure exists to support that, but we're very aware there's a huge mismatch between what we will make available and what is inside most venues. So we're hoping our infrastructure may allow you to think about something that you might be able to then end up putting into a couple of flight cases, or that might be optimized using emerging tech on mobile devices. Again, Peter, Richard, Alice, if there's anything you want to add to this, please do so. Peter?
Yeah, thanks. We're happy to come in on that one. Yeah, I think, as Will says, you know, one of our kind of stretch aims was to think about things like the Sphere and ABBA Voyage and how that is way beyond the reach of a small venue as we define them. But what activations can you make that put that into a box, a flight case that adds to, you know, can you run the entire show, including a visual package, including a sort of online presence from a laptop? What are tech companies developing at the moment that might be deployed in these sort of contexts, and the research, which the executive summary of the research, which is a good 6 months of work where we interviewed 73 a mixture of venues, artists, emergent and established, and technology providers, people involved in live tech, and what we got from that, we know what MVT have been saying about the issues with venues, some of which we can't help, but where we see that a need is in and around the sort of audience activation, and so you get more from your ticket, or you get you have an online ticket, an online version, and looking at accessibility, that's been quite an important part. A lot of people can't make it to these smaller venues, so those sort of activations where a bit of creative thinking can be brought to bear alongside the creative technologists we've got and the other technical partners that would really help activate some new thinking in that area. And just take a look at that exec summary. That'll tell you where the needs are around this technology piece, and then have a look at what the offer is in terms of our combined effort of research, both at Liverpool and within CoSTAR, and that might just get some synapses working on things that you see you could activate around.
Fantastic, thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, sorry. Derek, are you there? You've got a really interesting question as well. You've got two questions actually, and I'd love it if you wouldn't mind asking those questions.
Sure. So I guess firstly, I run a UK-wide, I guess, gig swap community interest company. So I guess the first question is a community interest company eligible to apply? And the second question, it's about the IP agreement. And so could you clarify, so after 2 years, if a successful applicant doesn't hit £500,000 in sales, that new IP would then revert back to CoLabs?
So let me take it one at a time. Community interest company, as long as you can evidence, I think, the opportunity to commercialize IP and how you might go about doing that, we should be able to look at your application, no problem. I think the second thing is the IP clause is there to ensure that what happens is the ambition is to commercialize IP. So the royalty repayment, the plan there is on net sales above 500,000. The aim should then be to simply try and recoup the public investment. In this instance, that's £40,000, right? So above net sales of 500,000, we're asking a royalty payment would exist to simply recoup the 40 grand that we then put back into more publicly funded CoSTAR activity. IP reversion, I would say we're still open to, and this will come down to at a point at which grants are awarded, contract will then be negotiated. That's September, October time. I think we'd be open to a conversation about that, because on a case-by-case basis, it's going to be different. Like it would be different for you than from other companies potentially. So I would say we can talk about that at the point at which you're contracted, but the aims on those clauses are simply to, one, try and get more money for public investment into R&D if we can. It's not to create an undue royalty onto a company or to disincentivize companies from applying. And the other is simply to try and make sure that companies do the very best they can to commercialize what comes out of this project. So I hope that answers. Yeah. Does anyone else want to build? Peter, did you have your hand up, or did anyone else want to build on top of that? Feel free if you do. No? Okay, cool.
And there was two more questions about sort of commercialization, IP, R&D. So one is, considering the emphasis on R&D, how is it important to involve a company with a route to market to exploit the R&D? And there's another one about IP I'll go to at the end. Or how do you define successfully commercialized in the IP clause? Maybe they're slightly different, but
so how important is it to involve a company with a route to market to exploit R&D? It's not essential. As in, I think what we're looking for is R&D. We're looking for innovation. We'd love it if there was a route to market to exploit, but it's perfectly acceptable that there isn't, right? To some extent, it's varying. There's 3 projects we can award here. There's a spectrum that I expect we're looking at, from like high levels of innovation that this has never been done before, through to this could scale and end up in 15 venues in 12 months' time. There's a scale there. We're looking at everything on that scale, right? So the idea could be incredibly innovative, but very challenging. That's really appealing to us. The idea could be incredibly scalable and portable. That's also incredibly attractive to us. We're currently thinking there's a lot of opportunity with 3 awards to probably go in both camps. That's my perspective on it. Richard, Alistair, Peter, have you got any other perspectives you'd like to add to that one?
No, I think that's the right position to take. I think to re-emphasize again that we're interested in innovation in the first instance, and I think the route to market probably would be secondary. But I think with 3 awards, we will have the possibility to balance things out depending on the kind of applications that we're getting.
Thank you. There's a good question here about deliverables, what's expected at the end of the project period. I can read on, but if you're here, would you like to, whoever's asked that question from the chat? No, I'll carry on. Can you clarify what is expected at the end of the project? Is it a full pilot version of the experience tested with an audience of at least 50 at the venue with the artistic partner? And does that mean it's really November, December as the main project period?
I think that's a likely yes. With regard to, we are imagining that we want to see pilots tested with venues across January and February next year. We'd like to see pilots tested with like twice because of the desire to do significant data capture. And we'd like to see those tested with different audiences. We're anticipating studio-based or you know, the development build period being subject to contracting speed, October, November, December, and then January and February is the window within which we'd like to see pilots done. If for any reason that time, like at the point at which shortlisting happens, if for any reason companies and applications are showing we have a slight issue with that timeline because of this exceptional circumstance, of course, on a project by project basis, we'd want to talk to you about that. But generally, that's the window we're looking to operate in. And the part of the reason for that window and that timeline is we did quite a lot of diligence with venues in advance of this call. And as Kylie said at the top, we're very aware that in the run up to Christmas, that's when venues will probably make most of their income. And we think this is research and development, and this should happen at a point at which venues probably have capacity and are willing to take risks. So we've asked that pilots happen in January and February next year. The other thing that's important in all of this is we're also saying you can charge for tickets. So these pilots should be something that when you put an audience in, you can probably charge that audience or tickets, but you're not able to make a profit. You're able to evidence the costs and so how ticketing would recoup costs. But we're saying it's a not-for-profit project. I hope that answers the question in terms of the timeline and the window we're looking to work within. Kylie, was there anything else on follow on from that?
Not directly follow on from that, but a couple of other questions. One I'm just going to address quickly is that, this is our second live music performance type of call. We had one from Live Lab in York earlier this year. We've got this one. Someone's identified it might not be a great fit for them, but we're going to follow up with you directly, Kathy, and have a chat with you. But, don't put a round peg in a square hole or the other way around, as they say. There's lots of other things coming out from CoSTAR, and in a moment we will share. We haven't got to the end yet, but I just want to say we will share to sign up for our newsletter, and so that we can follow on with you about. We're going to have funding calls keep coming out across probably this year, where we start to run out of time, but the next few years. But I did want to ask a question, Will, about payment, because I think this is very important. How will the funding take place? Do we need to spend our own money, and after that we will get reimbursed? A very good question. And we really hope not.
I think, and again, please go and download all of the documentation that is associated with this call. I believe there are 4 documents you now have to go and read after this call. 1, the full call brief. 2, the research we're making available. 3, the key terms of the grant into which you'll find the answers to the question you've just asked us. And 4, the Q&A, which might have other questions that you haven't asked that are on there. I think, and I can't like verbatim do the Q&A, but there's something like, is it 30% upon contract, 30% upon midway, and and then the remaining later. But look at it, it's in the, I don't think the shorthand is there's not the full expectation that you cover all your costs and then get repaid. But look in the key terms, all of the information that you've asked, I think, are in the key terms. If you don't find what you're looking for in the key terms, email us and we'll come back to you as quickly as we can with the specificity on payment terms.
Yeah, essentially there's 2 payments, an upfront, 3 payments, an upfront one, a middle one, and a one at the end. And it might be slightly different for Liverpool. And you can discuss those terms with us if there's any concerns about cash flow. But we're not aiming for you to be spending your own money. Liverpool, there's a question in there for you. Can we visit MusicFutures at Liverpool for a coffee and chat? And also, I'm trying to see if we've answered all the other questions. No, I definitely haven't. Oh, there is a really good question in the chat. Can you create an event as it's to run in January 26? And by you in this question, I'm not sure who's asked it. Do you mean us or yourselves? But can you create an event as it's to run in January 26 as part of Independent Venue Week, which happens in the same month?
I think that would be fantastic. Of course you can. As in, if you're, and again, we were thinking about one of the things that might happen with this call is venues may already have calendars that they need this to work within. They may have artists that have already programmed that they need this to work within. There may be events. So we are quite open and willing for you to tell us it needs to happen here because we've got this event, or it needs to work with this artist because. So if it is within Independent Venue Week that you need this to run, that's absolutely fine. I think the key thing is you just have to get your consortia right. So what you need to do is have a company that's applying the right technology innovation to work within the time frame that allows you to showcase within that particular window. So if you think there's something you want to hit, then by all means, go and hit it.
Yeah, I think we had this conversation, Will, before, that basically if there's a gig happening and you want to use this funding to actually use that gig as a piece of research and development, then that's completely fine.
Great. And while you're online, Alistair, could you refer to the coffee in the chat at Liverpool?
Yeah, I mean, we've literally just moved in there. So, yeah, we're definitely going to be more sociable in a few weeks. But there's no, that's get in touch with us, and but there's not much to show at the moment because we literally just moved in about a week or 2 ago.
There's just one more thing to add here is that obviously we have to treat every applicant the same. So within the application process, if there are general questions, you probably might want to post them to the CoSTAR Pilots email address that provided you, and that we can't really, in the interest of fairness, comment on any individual or give any guidance or any individual application, and you will obviously understand this. But other than that, MusicFutures is very sociable and we'll love to chat with you. And also we want you to sign up to our newsletter and stay connected with us, because just like CoSTAR, we will have a number of future funding calls coming up that might be of interest to you.
But overall for this call, the CoSTAR.pilots email that I've put in the chat, and we'll send you again at the end of this video, this webinar, will be the central question place to send questions for both MusicFutures and CoSTAR, because we are very co-aligned, and if it needs to be answered specifically by Richard Alistair and his team, we'll make sure that it gets to them, and whoever is the right person within our team, we'll make sure it gets to them. So please use the one central email. It will be easier and probably quicker for you to get your response. And I think we might have missed a question. I think
it's about project start date. So
great.
It says, I think you said on the website projects can start no later than the 1st of October. And actually on the call you've mentioned the date. So I'm just checking if that's the question. I would simply go with, we're anticipating shortlisting and contracting taking us to a period where we're hoping we'll have contracted companies and they're in a shape to start by early October. It might take a little bit longer than that. But as soon as companies are contracted and green lit, we're anticipating that you're good to go. Obviously, what we will be doing during the shortlisting and contracting period is we will be working with all of the awardees on how we're scheduling access to studios, how we're scheduling access to resource. Those will be flexible and iterative conversations subject to what your project is. Some projects will need more people than access to facilities. Some people will need more facility, and we'll talk it through with everybody once we know who's awarded. But at the moment, we have to say to all applicants who are applying, please come with ideas that you know you can execute from the start of October onwards, right? Because the runway is quite condensed. So you need to be ready to go, and we'll obviously be talking to you flexibly about access to resources, access to people, and you know that you'll be in venues in January and February.
Yeah, sorry if the date's confusing, because I see another follow-up comment there about 8 weeks after the deadline is well into October. So just to clarify the weeks, the call is open now and it's open for 6 weeks. And then when it closes, yes, there is an 8-week period for assessment, and it's closing at the end of August. So then you are well into October. So we have November and December for the key production period and January for the demo period. If there's concerns about that being a short time frame for production, please have a follow-up conversation with us and let's talk through what you're thinking. Okay. I think we've covered everything, but is there anyone that'd like to, have I missed anything? Thank you for your comments. Someone said it's very helpful. I'm just going to start. Would you mind sharing the PowerPoint again so that we can put all the links to all the documents that Will has referred to? We do have a few more minutes. We're happy to stay on, but also we don't want to keep everyone if we've covered everything. It's quite a long webinar. So we're just getting to the last part of our presentation, because there's a lot of links here to grassroots venues. Someone did ask, does the venue, if you're a lead company in Liverpool, does the venue and the artist need to be from Liverpool or something to that effect? I'm pretty sure I saw a comment there.
Richard, shall we throw to you on that one?
Yeah, I think we answered that question. It's again in the call guidance. The lead company has to come from the Liverpool City region, and one of the partners has also to come from the Liverpool City region. So it's either going to be the venue or the artist. Great.
And any other comments from our presenters or anyone else here? Have I missed anything?
I don't think so. I would simply reiterate, please read the documentation we're going to make available, right? Once you've read it, if you still have questions, please pop us a note. We will do everything we can to help you. We would like to have as many great, exciting ideas for this call as we possibly can. And we're in the business of supporting people to get to those great ideas. So let us know if there's information you feel you still need, and we'll do all we can to help you. And we've got a number of the team here who have amazing specialist skills, and we will throw emails around to make sure we get the answer you need. So if there's something you don't have once you've read everything, please do try and contact us. Richard, Alistair, anything from Liverpool side?
I'd just like to conclude perhaps by saying that we are extremely excited and delighted that we can collaborate on this and run this call together with you. We believe there's an awful strong talent pool out there, and I think this is a truly exciting opportunity. We are fully committed to this call, as you probably have seen, and Will and the entire CoSTAR team has done a fantastic work in preparations for this call. So do not forget to have fun with this, and hopefully we'll see excellent applications and can come back to you.
Sorry, I accidentally interrupted.
I'm getting pings all the time in my ear, so sorry.
Yes, and I accidentally interrupted you, but this is where to sign up with the CoSTAR newsletter. We'll also put a link in an email to follow up with you of how to sign up to the MusicFuture's newsletter. We'd love you to stay connected with them as well. They've got lots of exciting stuff. As I said, they've just moved in, just got their funding, so there's going to be more exciting things coming out of the Liverpool area as well. So please feel free to sign up. Please do sign up to both of our newsletters and follow us on LinkedIn, Substack as well. We're on. Stay in touch because there's exciting stuff happening all the time. And I just have clarified in the meeting chat about the 8 weeks. I know it's a little bit confusing, but I think just be very clear that the production period is November, December, and our assessment period is 8 weeks, but we try to do it earlier, or it may, worst case scenario, it takes a little bit longer, but that's our goal, is to get this up and running as soon as possible. With fair due diligence to all our applicants. We just never know. We're also quite new. Sometimes we have an explosion of applications, sometimes we don't. Are there any other questions? I for one am super excited. Bring your coolest, funnest, most exciting thing. I think this is a really fun, innovative, interesting call with a really good goals underneath. We want to save our music venues, but get out there and support our artists and venues. So anything we can do in that space is really exciting. Any other questions, everybody? Feel free to drop off. Feel free to stay on and then just ask your question. But thank you again, and thank you to all our presenters and the team who've joined us from the National Lab and from MusicFuture's team. It's been wonderful. Thank you. And I'm going to let all the participants head off first. I don't want to shut down while anyone's here who may want to ask something. Anyone else there?
Yes, I have a quick question. Is it possible to have a one-on-one briefing or anything like that? I think Sanders will be saying no. Okay, no worries.
I don't think so.
I think it's a bit tricky to have a one-on-one conversation. But if you send your email to the CoSTAR Pilots email with your questions, we can take it from there. We just have to be very careful to be equitable to all applicants and not provide too much very specific detail or advice on applications. But we also know you might have some very specific questions. Start with emailing us and we can take it from there. Is that okay, Will?
Yep.
Yeah, it's more about like to present my ideas. So I don't need advice or anything like that. It was just like more of if it will be like interest in you because it's a big idea and I'll put a lot of effort, and after that you might say no, and time is money. So that's why I wanted like a one-on-one meeting, nothing like to get something.
Can I make a suggestion, which would be send the email that outlines why you want a conversation with us. It might be your idea sits outside this call. It might be it's a technology solution that has something. So send us the email that says this is what I'd need to talk to you about, and we'll let you know if we can have that conversation. Because as Kylie says, we can't give applicants undue prominent. We can't reward applicants with more time than others if it's specifically, but send us why, give us details, as much detail as you can, and we'll respond to you and let you know. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, it's okay. Can you advise me on the best email address to send that email?
Kylie will post it in the chat.
Yeah, great. We'll post it in the chat, and we will also post it in our, we will do a follow-up email with the PDF of this event and the link to the YouTube webinar, and also the emails. Oh, and there we go. Our team is dynamo. Thank you, everybody. And thanks. I think that's coming to a close. So at 1:55, we're going to wrap it all up. But thank you, everyone.